Hello, English 110 class. This is Michelle Long, your professor, and what I'm doing is I'm going to be setting up podcasts for you each week just to kind of give you an idea of what we're going to be working on that week and what is going to be due, just to keep you up to date with all the activities going on in the second half of this term. In the first half of the term, so far, what we've learned about pre-writing techniques to get you thinking about how to begin writing. So that's how we started off. We started off with your pre-writing techniques, like your brainstorming, your free write, your concept map, your outline. It's kind of like just getting your brain ready and prepared to start writing research papers and essays, not just, writing a sentence or writing a paragraph. We're going to be writing formal writing now. What we've learned so far in the first half of the term is how to use proper grammar in your sentence writing using nouns, pronouns, prepositions, subjects, and verbs. We've learned different sentence structures using compound and complex sentences and how to design and create a paragraph. So by now, you should have completed and submitted your midterm examination. Five-paragraph persuasive essay, you're going to need to have 2 references. When your instructor asks for references in your paper, you may say, well, what are references? I have no idea what a reference is, and why do we even need them? So basically, whenever you write a formal or an academic paper, whether it's a report, an essay, a summary, a research assignment, you're going to need to include material in your paper written by someone else besides you. When you do this, you must give that person credit for his or her ideas or their words. It's kind of like when someone creates something, if you were to take that away from that person and take credit for that, it's kind of like stealing. Almost like if you're going to publish an essay or publish a research report, you certainly would not want someone stealing your information and using it for themselves without giving you the credit. You've spent so much time and effort creating that you definitely want to get that credit out on the internet. So before you sit down and start typing your essay, what you want to do is you want to think about the topic that you're going to be writing about. For the purpose of this presentation, I've asked you to write a capstone essay that's going to be due at the end of this course, which will be in week 11. Each week from this point forward, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be reviewing a different part of the persuasive essay. So in the slide, it gives you what we're going to be doing each week. In week 7, which is next week, we're going to be talking about the introduction paragraph, and I'm going to kind of introduce you to that this week and how to create an introduction paragraph. There's a video for you to watch, and his name is James ESL, and he's awesome. What he does is he actually brings to life my PowerPoint presentation podcast on how to create an effective essay. So he kind of brings it to life, and he's much more entertaining than I am. The next week, besides all of the other activities we'll be doing, but the next week in week 8, we're going to be focusing on how to create body paragraph 1 and 2. So by then we're going to have addressed how to just to create an essay in general. Then we're going to talk about the introduction paragraph, and within the introduction paragraph is a thesis statement, which we're going to be working on in week 7 as well. That's part of the introduction paragraph. Week 8, we're going to be focusing on paragraph 1 and 2. Week 9 is going to be paragraph 3 and the conclusion paragraph. So those things are actually going to be due each week, which will lead us up to the end, which will be week 11. In this class, we're using MLA, which is Modern Language Association, and there are different forms of writing that rules that you have to follow when you write. MLA is what we're going to be focusing on in our developmental English class here, and then referencing as well. Part of my podcast this week in week 6 is kind of introducing referencing, what referencing is, and how you're going to need referencing, and maybe I'm going to give you a strategy on how to reference. And then week 11 is the final persuasive essay that's going to be due. That week, all of the things that we're going to be working on the second half of the term will be capstone in your essay assignment. that essay assignment is going to be worth some points towards your final grade. So it's very, very important that you submit that essay complete and submit that essay. So we are currently in week 6. This week I will be introducing the essay. I will be describing to you all of the parts of the essay. So please review the PowerPoint presentation podcast that I have also uploaded aside from this one in this week, just to get you familiar with what is involved in creating an essay. Okay, so after you've completed reviewing the PowerPoint presentation on how to create an effective essay, my podcast, what you're going to need to do is then think about your persuasive essay. Okay, so you're going to apply everything that you've learned in that podcast to now you're going to start thinking about creating your own essay. And the essay is going to be on persuasion, really. You're going to actually try to persuade your audience to think and feel as you do. You want to kind of persuade their thoughts. So, as an example, if you wanted to write about one of these 4 topics, and you will have to choose one of these 4 topics, you cannot create a topic on your own. I've had students submit assignments that they've done essays on topics that I did not give or I did not allow, and you'll automatically get a 0. I'll send it back to you, and then you're going to have to send me back a persuasive essay following the guidelines. And those guidelines are you need to choose from one of these 4 things. So read them over, think about them. You can even do research on each one of these topics just to get an idea of what you find familiar or find interesting. Once you have decided, you need to decide this week what topic you're going to be writing on. As an example, vaping should be illegal or it should be legal. Marijuana should be legal, it should be illegal. Energy drinks should or should not be banned, and violent video games should be allowed or prohibited. And the reason why I put both is because I want you to choose a stance. If your topic is going to be on vaping, your stance should be either illegal or you think it should be legal. Once you decide the topic and then decide your stance, that is going to be what your topic is going to be on the persuasive essay. You're going to try to persuade your audience to feel as you feel. Maybe you feel like vaping should be illegal. Maybe you actually vape and you want it to be legal. So you have to decide on a stance as well. Once you've chosen the subject that you're interested in writing about, you then choose your stance. After you've chosen your stance and your topic, what you want to do is kind of think about what it is you're going to write about your stance, about your topic. You're going to do some brainstorming, you're going to do some free writing, very similar to what we did in the beginning of the course. So this is kind of what this is basically dumping all of your ideas, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions in a bucket. Here is a representation of your pre-writing, and the bucket is the representation of your thoughts, your feelings, emotions, and where they're all going to go. Within that bucket also, you will also place your research. So research is actually what we're going to be talking about in the rest of this podcast, but these are in the bucket are going to be all of your ideas, and they're all going to be coming from you. And you have originated all of these ideas through your thoughts, through your feelings, through your emotions, through your brainstorm, through your free write. However, the next thing is research. Research is also going to go in the bucket, but these are not going to be your origination. These are not going to be your original thoughts. They're not your feelings. They're not your emotions. They're not your ideas. They're going to be somebody else's ideas. So in the next slide, we're going to talk about what research is, define it, and then I'm going to give you examples on how to actually perform the research and document it in your essay. This slide was taken off of the online librarian's PowerPoint presentation, so I cannot take credit for this. But her definition of research is critical and exhaustive investigation or experimentation having for its aim the discovery of new facts and their correct interpretation, the revision of accepted conclusions, theories, laws in the light of newly discovered facts, or the practical applications of such new or revised conclusions, theories, or laws. Basically, what that's saying is somebody came up with some words to put in a sentence that is not you. Basically, is what the underlying theme is. Research is some work that somebody else has done, not you. So basically, the word research describes several similar and frequently intersecting activities involving a search for information. So you're going to go out on the internet, you're going to research information on your topic. And the following activities involves a search. Okay, so we're actually going to perform a search. I'm going to show you exactly in these slides how to go ahead and do that. So your instructor, who is me, says you are going to need to create a 5-paragraph essay on a persuasive essay topic. You're going to choose your topic. You're going to write down your thoughts, your feelings about how you feel about the topic, but we're going to need to do some referencing as well, or researching. Now let's think about researching your topic. When your instructor says you will need to have at least 2 references, you say to yourself, I have no idea what she is talking about. Have absolutely no idea what is a reference. I have no idea what she means by researching. What does that even mean? So you may say to yourself, I have no idea what this means. Well, what it means is that you have to go out online, okay? You have to find out what other authors have to say about your topic, because there are a lot of people out on the internet that probably feel the same way about vaping as you do, whether or not it's illegal, whether or not they feel it's legal. So since you have already chosen your topic and your stance, you're going to use that to do your research. So as an example, you decided that you want to do an essay on why vaping should be illegal. To start your research, you can go to Google. Okay, everybody knows how to go to Google. Simplest, easiest thing. You can go through Chrome, you can go through Firefox. I would not recommend Internet Explorer on any device at all, simply because it's just kind of gone by the wayside. But normally, your best bet is to use Chrome. In Google, what you want to do is you want to type in what your topic is. In this case, it's why vaping should be illegal. This slide gives you an example of what will be your results in Google. Okay. You'll probably get a ton of results. You can see that here there are over 17 million results. But what comes up to the top of the list are the most, I guess, popular or most recent articles. And you probably want the most recent article, or the most popular, maybe not. You maybe want to keep continuing on your research to find what it is that you are, looking for. You might have to search through 16 million results, but if you get to it, you get to it. You want to look at the results and you want to decide what site you want to use for researching your topic. You can use more than one site. I would recommend to maybe research 10 sites, because you may narrow it down to finally finding the one that you want. When you find the one that you want, what you're going to do is you're going to click on that website. So as an example, down at the bottom of the screen, it says the FDA tells Congress e-cigarettes are unsafe and illegal. Okay, so that inspires me. I am excited by this website. It's on wired.com. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it. Seems pretty authentic. We're talking about the FDA. Doesn't seem like, it's bad information. So something that the CDC has mentioned, also the FDA, whenever you see anything like that in a website, normally it is authentic. You don't want to just go on a blog and pull something that, your neighbor down the street posted. You want something that's pretty authentic. So go ahead and click that link. Then you want to read the article. If you have to read it a couple times, you read it a couple times. And what you want to do is in that article, you want to decide what information in that article you want to use in your essay. You can use words verbatim, like you can use it word by word. You can actually take that information word by word and then use it, but there's a certain parameter formula that you have to do if you decide that you want to do that, because it would be considered plagiarism if you did not cite it. So it has to be cited properly in order to use the wording of that, which is what I'm going to show you next. Okay, so you've decided that you want to use this website. Choose the information on the article that you want to use, and then we're going to go to the next slide. Looks like. So this is just a snapshot of what the article looks like, and what I have highlighted in blue is actually the information that I want to use in my essay. I really like this statement. It actually backs up and it proves the information that I'm using in my essay. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to highlight it. That's why it's highlighted blue, because I've used my mouse, I put it before the S in Sharpless, and then I went over it and copied it. So what you want to do is then you want to right click your mouse on the blue highlight and choose copy, or after you've highlighted it, you can do Control C for copy. Once you've done this, then what you can do is you can then go over to Word, which is in the next slide. Okay. So all we've done is we've taken information from the website, we pasted it. Now, if we did not do anything in terms of making your reader understand that this did not come from your idea or your brain or your thoughts or your words, then it's plagiarism. And in some cases, you can be suspended for plagiarism. You can also be expelled, depending on the college or university that you're attending. Here, we're in developmental arena. So we're in a learning environment. I will not suspend or expel anybody, but I will cite you on. I will take points off and I will tell you to please cite that and send it back to me. You cannot just copy and paste off the internet and not cite it or not reference it. That is stealing, and there are heavy consequences for that. Okay, so we've copied it, we've pasted it, then we've opened up a Word document, we pasted it into Word, and since we found a source, so the source in this case is actually the website where we got this information. We copied it. That's our source, quote, source, unquote. And then this is the source that we're going to use for our referencing. So basically, copy and pasting into your Word document is the easy part. The hard part is coming up next. So you are going to need to really pay attention to what I have to say next. So let me repeat that. You are going to have to really pay attention to what I have to say next, because this is going to save each and every one of you from plagiarism. The plagiarism cell block that they will put you in if you don't cite correctly. Of course, I'm kidding about the cell block, but it is very, very important. So for the purpose of this site, what we're going to do is we're going to cite it as a direct quotation. And basically what a direct quotation is your friend down the street said, I bought a new car. So when you go to your other friend, friend number 2, and you said, friend number 1 said she bought a car, a new car. If you wrote that to her, you would have to put that in quotation. You can't just say, I'm the one who said that about my friend. It's not what you said, it's actually what she said. This information is coming from a different author. So what you can do is you can place them in parentheses. In quotation. You want to put them in quotation, because that is what a direct quote is. You're directly quoting someone else, another author. When you directly quote the works of others, you will place quotation marks around the words stated by that author. At the end of the line, what you're going to do is called an in-text citation. This is what an in-text citation is going to look like. I'm going to explain that to you next. Okay, so what is an in-text citation, you say? MLA, we said, was Modern Language Association. This is the standard that we follow when we're creating essays, research assignments, etc. Other forms are APA in Chicago. I know in bachelor or graduate programs they use APA, so you're going to have to transition from MLA once you get to a bachelor or a graduate program into an APA. Chicago style is popular, but not as popular as your MLAs or your APAs. And to cite, basically what you want to do is after the quotation, and remember the sentence that we were just looking at, that is going to be in quotation. So you want to go to the end of the sentence after the last quotation. And you want to put in parentheses the name of the author. This gives the author the credit that the author deserves, but you also want to put not only the author's last name, but you want to put the page number where you received this information. You do not have to put the author's full name. You only have to put the last name and the page number. You do not have to put P for page, PG for page, nothing, just the number. No comma between. All you have to do is put a space between that. That's going to reference the instructor or anyone else who's reading it to your works cited page, and they're going to know which reference to go to read about your site. And as an example of a parenthetical, sometimes they call it in-text citation, sometimes they call it parenthetical. Human beings have been described as symbol-using animals. So the information that you took from the original author is called symbol-using animals, which is why it's in quotation. After the quotation, notice the name of the last name of the author, Burke, and the page number where this person who's writing it got the information from, which is 3. So the reason why it's called in-text citation is because you're placing it within the text of your essay. You're not putting it in the reference or the bibliography or the works cited information at the end of your essay. You're placing it within the information in your essay, within the text of your essay. So it's not written as a footnote or an endnote or listed as a reference in your works cited. Again, it's within your paragraphs, within your essay. 2 more examples. Again, MLA format follows the method of in-text citation. Whenever you see in-text citation, this is what they mean. You're going to either summarize, paraphrase, and summarizing and paraphrasing you're going to be learning that more in your composition class, so I'm not really going to focus too much on that. What I am going to do is give an example of a direct quote. And direct quote should be, as it states, around or within quotations. For example, Wordsworth stated that romantic poetry was marked by a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. So notice that that is in quotation, and at the end there is a number in parentheses, and that number is the page number. The reason why there is no author's name in that parenthesis is because you've already stated the author in the beginning of the sentence, Wordsworth. So you don't have to repeat yourself. It doesn't have to be, the name does not have to be there twice. But Wordsworth did say spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. So what's in quotation is not what you said, it's what Wordsworth said. A second example, and if you use one of these examples, either one would be correct. Romantic poetry is characterized by the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. Wordsworth 263. Now the reason why we have Wordsworth in parentheses is the last name of the author. Again, you don't need the first name. 263 is the number of the page where you'll find this information that Wordsworth had stated, spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. So if you went to this book and went to page 263, you would see this information. Notice too that the period is at the end after the parentheses. So these are 2 more examples that you're going to use, that you can use for your citing. All right, so information gathered for your references. So not only do you have to do an in-text citation, which is, citing the author and the page number at the end of the sentence, you also have to create what is called a works cited page. And works cited is called works cited in MLA. It's the last page of your essay. It's a totally separate page from the rest of your document. And the information that you need to gather when you're using a website article for information in your essay. You have to write down the author's name, the name of the web page. Okay, so the name of the web page is the title of the page where the article resides. Big difference from the actual website. So web page is just the page where a page in the site. And then within the page, the article is on the page, and the article has a title. The title is called "The FDA Tells Congress E-Cigarettes Are Unsafe and Illegal." And then the name of the website is, okay, just to give you a background of the difference between a web page and website. Website is confused sometimes with the name of the web page. Websites are a collection of individual pages. So for instance, IMDb, Bureau of Labor Statistics, Wikipedia, they're all names of websites. Any information within these websites can be found on its web pages. And the URL is that box at the top where it's like the driver's seat. You put your information in there, and that's where you want to go. It's kind of like when you're a driver in the driver's seat, you're the one driving the car. URL is basically the driver's seat. You're telling the internet where to go. Okay, so that's the name of the website. The name of the website in this particular case is wired.com. That's really all you need. The date, okay, the date that the article was written is 9/25/19. That's usually found above or below the title, somewhere near the title. The date that the article was created will be found. Then you find your year, month, day access. You don't have to find that actually. That's actually today's date. So if you're on the website and you're working on the website today, just put today's date in there. And then the URL is basically what you copy and you paste. And that again is up in the box at the very top of the screen, which is your driver. You just right click on that, you copy it, and then you paste it where you need to go. Now this presentation is part 1 of referencing and researching, creating in text. There's going to be a whole separate podcast on how to create a works cited page. So remember this information if you want to write it down in your notes, because we're going to be needing it for part 2 podcast, which will be given to you next week. So here's an example of what your in-text citation is going to look like, and the changes that I made to the original information is in red. Notice that we put the information that we copied and pasted from the website in quotations in red. One quotation at the beginning of the sentence, one quotation at the end. Notice that we did not put any punctuation after the second quotation. We put a left parenthesis, the name of the author, last name, the page number, no spaces, no P, period, nothing like that. And then a right parenthesis, and then put your period at the end. This is how you do an in-text citation. Now there's going to be a whole separate PowerPoint presentation podcast for how do you create this site in your works cited. How do you create this reference in your works cited? Whole different ballgame. It's the second phase of your research and your referencing. So this is going to be important for next week, but I just wanted to introduce you to research, because inevitably you're going to have to create a research assignment or an essay, and you're going to have to know how to do an in-text citation using the MLA as well as works cited. So get starting to think about your topic. The next slide is going to be a recap of what you've learned in this podcast, as well as what you're going to be assigned this week in week 6. Where do I start? Well, this is a good start because you have listened to my podcast and it gives you direction on what you need to do for this week. If you have not listened to my podcast, then you would not know what the 4 topics are. So it's very important that you know the topics that you're going to need to choose from. So that since it's a video, you can always, go back to see those topics. But thank you for listening to my podcast. After you have completed listening to my podcast, the next things that you want to do for week 6, you want to review the PowerPoint presentation podcast on how to create an essay. Now, this is a whole separate podcast that I've created, and basically what it does is it introduces you to the essay. It kind of gives you an idea of what is included in an essay. How do you create an essay? Where do you start? Where do you continue? Where do you end? What is an essay? and then the different parts of the essay. So after you have listened to that podcast, which is very important, you then want to start thinking about your topic, okay? And then you want to choose your topic. Out of the 4 choices that you're given, choose one. It has to be done this week. You have to choose your topic this week. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, because as we continue on in the second half of the term, it's all going to be concentrating on your persuasive essay, and you're going to need to know the topics because you're going to be submitting assignments on that topic from this point forward. So watch the James ESL video. Okay, the reason why I need you to watch this video is because I have given you an ultimate introduction exercise that you're going to have to do. Basically what he's done, and he's very entertaining, is he has brought my how to create an essay to life. He's writing on the board exactly a visual aspect of how exactly an essay is created from start to finish. And what he does, it gives you a visual representation of how you're going to create your thesis. Because when you create your introduction paragraph, you need to know your thesis, because your whole essay is going to be wrapped around your thesis. So the first thing you want to do, even before the title of your essay, is create your thesis. We're going to have a whole different podcast and information on how to create a thesis next week, but I just want to get you start thinking about your topic, start thinking about your introduction, and create your introduction exercise, which I've uploaded, and that's going to be due at the end of this week, which will be the 17th. And also, please continue working on your My Foundation Labs. Thank you. Great week.